When they say it's not about perfection, it's about direction, they think that God is just going to judge on the curb, and if you try the best you can, God will give you a pass under the law. You've shown that you lived righteously. He's going to save you now. It's totally false.
If you see a continual pattern of sin for a season or a time, that's going to take away your assurance. And honestly, it should.
Who doesn't see a pattern of sin in their life at some point or another? I'll tell you who doesn't see it. It's the self-righteous and the blind. If you don't think you have a pattern of sin in your life, let me just take you to the law, because whatever the law says, it says to those who are under the law that the whole world would become guilty before God, and every mouth would be stopped. Therefore, by the works of the law, no flesh will be justified in his sight, for only by the law comes the knowledge of sin. So if you are having trouble seeing sin in your life, let's just take you to the law and look through the lens of it. Now you're guilty. You can see that you're unrighteous. You have no appeal that you're someone who lives righteously unless you're self-deluded, deceived. See, this was the mistake of the Pharisee who says, I thank you, God, I'm not an adulterer, I'm not a swindler, I fast twice a week, I give 1/10 of my earning, I'm not unjust like other men. That he made a self-evaluation of himself under the law, determining he had a pattern of righteousness, a pattern of godly behavior by which he could determine that he was just. And this is why Jesus told that very parable to argue against that type of mentality where people trusted in themselves that they were righteous. So we can never put 1 ounce of trust in ourselves that we're righteous by our works, but we look to Christ to know that we're righteous, that God made him who knew no sin to become sin for us, that we might become the righteousness of God in him. And it's about a righteousness not of our own through the law. May I be found in him, not having a righteousness of my own, which comes through the law, but that which comes through faith in Jesus Christ, even the righteousness which comes from God on the basis of faith. So John MacArthur, with his false teachings, will trick people into this type of mentality where they'll say, I'm a true Christian because I'm not an adulterer, I'm not a swindler, I fast twice a week, I give 1/10 of my earning. And they look to what they believe is a pattern of righteousness in their life, a pattern of godliness, to determine whether or not they're a true Christian and truly saved. And this is just a self-evaluation, a self-justification for themselves under the law, when we know that whatever the law says, it says to those who are under the law that the whole world would become guilty before God and every mouth would be stopped.